What's going on, everybody? This is the Scene Snob, and I'm back with another 20-minute wrestling podcast. I just got done with the Royal Rumble, and we are definitely going to get into that. I want to cover a couple of things before we do, but there's a lot I definitely want to cover on the Royal Rumble. So we got, so last week, if you go back, actually, I just did a special. It's a giant size episode, about an hour and 5 minutes. I had my buddy Rob Gocher come on. We had a great talk. We talked about a lot of things, not just Worlds Collide and the Royal Rumble, our predictions, and just an analysis of what's going on in the show. But we also discussed a lot of other things that are going on Raw, on SmackDown, NXT, things that we like and we want to see more of, things that we don't like so much, and kind of where it goes from there. So you should definitely go back and check out that episode because it is not. A lot of it is good conversation. It's not just about. The Worlds Collide and Royal Rumble. So definitely go check that out. It is the 1 hour giant-sized episode. You can find it on the playlist on YouTube, on SoundCloud. Just go use the links at thescenesnobs.com. If you watch it on YouTube, definitely hit the like and subscribe button there. We need the subscribers and we love them. So we would appreciate that. Or if you go on SoundCloud, do the same. That would be great too. If you do them both, that'd be amazing. So, with that being said, we covered a lot of Raw. We covered a lot of SmackDown, things like that. So, if you want to go back and check out the past week and what we talked about there. But I did not cover AEW, and I do want to do that because AEW deserves their light. And was such an awesome show this week. They did the Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager. So they're on the cruise ship and they're putting on the show. And let me tell you, it was one of my favorite shows. And I was so happy how it went this year. How this year's building up perfectly and just how they're cultivating storylines and things like that. So it's been a lot of fun to watch and check out. So with that, kind of going over the show a little bit and pull up my notes. You started off with a four-way tag team. You had SCU, and it was for the championships title. So it was SCU, it was the Bucks, it was the Elites with Paige and Jericho, and then you had who else was in it? Sorry, Royal Rumble has kind of screwed me up a little bit, but I kind of wanted to figure out everybody that was in it. I think it was Santana and Ortiz. Yeah, it looks like that's what it was. So, but anyway, very cool match. It was really fun. And we got a new title. We got new title winners. And I kind of wanted to compare this on this show, because I dived into it a little bit on the Supersize show, but kind of talk about it a little bit more now. I'm talking about AEW. You had Kenny Omega and you had Adam Page, win the tag team titles, and I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was amazing. And as much as I like the SCU as champions, they started kind of feeling like they were cooled off a little bit. Just a little bit after the new year. That can happen with tag teams because you have so many, and it was nice to see it move on. Now, it was very nice to see Omega finally get a title, which I think he absolutely needed to do to kind of spruce him up, especially with all his losses of last year with the pay-per-views. So, you can sacrifice only so much when you're the best in the world. And that's right. I think Kenny Omega is best in the world. I always say that. So, with that being said, you have but you've gained the story because there's been like tension between Paige and the Elites for so long, and they've been building it up, and they win. So now you have Paige who has tension with the Elites, and he is a tag team champion with one of them, and they don't really understand what's going on with him, and he gets kind of carried off with the audience, and he goes back up by the commentator booth, and they kind of point at each other, but you can tell he's just not into it. So they're cultivating this story, and I cannot wait to see where it goes. There's going to be a heel turn. It's going to be great, but now that they're champions, how does this go? It's going to be beautiful. I cannot wait for that to come about, but I'm glad that they're doing it slowly. So I will wait and I will watch each week to see where it goes. Now, the reason I say that is because on Raw a couple days earlier, we had brand new awarded tag team champs, and that was Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. Now, they went up against the Viking Raiders and they beat them. They took the titles. Now, here's what bugs me. They don't, I mean, I can go on and on for days, and this is only a 20-minute podcast, and I still have to cover the Royal Rumble. So I will just kind of gloss over it a little bit. You have this kind of cool stable that they're putting together that the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins, is putting together, and they have AOP, which is a tag team right there, and then you have Buddy Murphy, and then you have Seth Rollins, and it seems like it worked out perfectly for a main title, and then maybe like a U.S. title, intercontinental title, and then the tag team titles for AOP. But they give it to Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. They've just teamed up together. Then they go out there, and then they're now the champions. And it just goes to show you that that WWE does not know how to handle tag teams. They don't know what they're doing. I just don't think they care about tag teams. I think they just know they need to have them. I mean, if they cared about tag teams, they would have more than one tag team titles for the women. And you'd actually know who it's on at the moment. Which we do. It's Kabuki Warriors, but I mean, you have to give it a thought every once in a while when you really think about it. Anyway, so I just wanted to say there was a big contrast in both. You have these two guys win the belts, even though they have a tag team in their stable. They win these tag team championships, and it makes no sense to me for two guys that just teamed up. And then you go over and you have this great story being built up. When they win the belts, then they don't really they're bigger singles than they are a tag team. And they beat the Bucks, they beat Santana and Ortiz, they beat SCU for the title, and like these are tag teams. They work as tag teams. So and you still accept it because they're building a good story there. So with that being said, yet again AEW is winning in the story department, in my opinion. Need to get better writers at WWE. Come on, build some stories up. So with that, like I said, I covered a lot of WWE, NXT, everything like that this week in that giant size episode. So I'm just going to jump right into the Royal Rumble and kind of go match by match and just kind of what I thought of everything. I'm getting a little lens flare. I'm not J.J. Abrams, so I prefer to get rid of it if I can. I'll just turn the mic a little bit. Nope, that made it worse. There we go. So, the Royal Rumble starts out. It was very weird. It's actually not that weird lately, but you have two matches in the pre-show. You had Sheamus have a squash match against Shorty G, which I feel bad with Shorty G because Chad Gable, I hate that name, so just Chad Gable. Because he doesn't need to be in a squash match. If you want squash matches for Sheamus's return, have him go out on his show and have him do as many squash matches like you were doing for the Viking Raiders, or you do for everybody else who you want to, just to build them up. I get it. Do that for a few weeks. Don't do it in a pre-show with a named guy. He's a mid-level guy, a mid-card guy, but he's not a jobber. So I don't know. I just didn't like how they treated that, and it's a dumb feud anyway, so whatever. And at least that was on the pre-show. So then we got a title match. So we just had an epic match on Raw. It's probably the best match of Raw, where it was Rey Mysterio and Andrade in a ladder match for the USA title, or the US title rather. And then you get and then, of course, Humberto Carrillo came out in a mask and kind of backed up Rey Mysterio. Andrade retained, so and he took out Andrade. I was cool with it. Building up a new feud, giving this kid some, generating some good heat on him and stuff like that. So I was for it. I didn't mind at all. But then he gets to the pre-show, and this is a title match. This is for a title. Why is this in a pre-show? But they've been doing this lately. They did that with the Viking Raiders. Maybe it was Survivor Series, but it was definitely a pay-per-view where it was a pre-show. I think it was the New Day versus the Viking Raiders or something. It was some months back, but it was just like, what is this on a pre-show for? And it's for a title? So I don't know what WWE is doing. If it's that bad, just cut the pre-show down and make it part of the show. Start the show earlier. If you can't go past 11 and you have everything mapped out, you're still showing it. Just instead of 7, start the show at 6. It's Royal Rumble. We'll understand. And you're probably going to get more eyes on it. But anyway, then we get into the first match of the night, which was it the Women's Royal Rumble? It is very late, and I am very tired, and you'll have to excuse me. But, the Women's Royal Rumble was really good. I will talk about that for now. So we got, it was really good up to a point. Like, it really stretched out well. They had the first two were Alexa Bliss and Bianca Belair, which was really solid. And then as they were adding on more and more, you're building up your stories. You got the Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, which you thought was going to be a turn, but it actually wasn't. They're just building up. There's good pacing, good timing throughout. You're adding more. I mean, there's a few things I didn't love about it. You had Santino Morello came out as Santina. I don't think that's warranted in this day and age. I know it's supposed to be funny. I know what they're trying to do. I know people love it. But you built up such a women's division that's honestly in some way, well, it's kind of been faltering for a little while, but at one point was better than the men's. And it was main eventing WrestleMania, the women's division. So I just don't think that joke was needed. I don't think you needed to end Santina, and I know he threw himself out, but I felt it took away something. It took away like a little dignity of the match. I just personally, that's how I felt watching it. And then you have this whole match go on, and now I'm just not thrilled about Charlotte winning. I know she's a big draw. I know that she is, she's a main event person, but she shoehorned her way in. I'm not going to say her, but they shoehorned her into the Rousey-Becky Lynch match, which they built up for months and was great. They shoehorned her into that WrestleMania main event because they didn't think Becky was big enough. And at the time, maybe she wasn't, but when she won, she got the big pop. They knew she needed to be the winner. I don't think you needed Charlotte there. And I got why they did it, but at the same time, I didn't love it. But whatever, I accepted it. It was still a good match. Now we have her going back again. So obviously she's going to go against Becky. So she won. But overall it was pretty good. Like I said, I cultivated some of the stories. Liv Morgan, Lana, which I hate that storyline, but at least they're cultivating it in these matches, which is what these are for, what you're supposed to do. But to go back, the first match of the night was Roman Reigns versus King Corbin, False Count Anywhere. That was a fun match. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I absolutely 100% hate the Superman punch. I think I've mentioned it on the show dozens of times. I think it is the stupidest thing. He does a near flawless spear, which is just, and I know it's his finisher, but just get rid of the Superman punch. It's so dumb. At least AJ shows some pageantry with his phenomenal forearm. It's not great, but at least he kind of throws it up and he's on the ropes and he bounces, and it's just nice to see. But even that, I put that in the same bracket as the Superman punch. It's a dumb move and it just doesn't work for me. So that's how we won it. They won it on the dugout of the Houston Astros, which I thought was funny. I mean, with everything, in light of everything that's going on, I was like, okay, cool. That's kind of funny. I don't think they did it for that reason, but it was still funny to me. They had a funny, what do you call it? Porta potty. He gets flipped over in a porta potty. Corbin does. So I thought that was kind of fun. Like, it was just a fun Falls Count Anywhere match, and it kind of went haywire for a little while, and I dug it all. So that was a good match for me. And like I said, it was a women's third Royal Rumble. Charlotte Flair, the winner. I still think Shayna Baszler should have been. I think Shayna Baszler main eventing with Becky Lynch would be a lot better. I really hope they don't do a three-way again. That would annoy the hell out of me. Then you get Bayley versus Lacey Evans. It was a crap match. It was stupid. Bayley retained. The whole thing, the whole rivalry is just started out okay, and it's just been beat to death, and I can't stand it. Bayley is just ugh to me. Like, I'm sorry, she's just not fun. I liked her better when she was the hugger, and I still didn't even like really enjoy her then. Then we had the Universal Championship match, The Fiend versus Daniel Bryan strap match. Solid match, really good. I enjoyed it. They wrestled the hell out of each other. It was a lot of fun. But well, the Fiends retained the title, of course. Mandible Claw, which was kind of cool. But overall, like, as good of a match as it was, I was like, it just still didn't excite me that much. So like overall, in the overall story, I was like, I'm not too excited about everything that's going on here. And then you had Becky Lynch versus Asuka. Nice match, solid match. I'd give it an A. But again, there's like the story there was just when the stories. Well, I shouldn't say that. The Fiend's the Fiend and Dan O'Brien storyline has been great, and I've loved that. The Becky Lynch and Asuka kind of felt forced, a lot of it. I'm glad they kind of took the time to tell the story, but it did feel kind of forced. I'm kind of hoping it's over. I'm kind of not feeling it starting up with Charlotte again, and then we're gonna get months of that. But whatever, we'll go from there. So then we get to the men's Royal Rumble, and the awesome thing about the men's Royal Rumble is it started out terrible. To me, this is the worst Royal Rumble in the 33 years of Royal Rumble. I absolutely hated this Royal Rumble. I'm sure people disagree. I'm sorry. That first half of the Rumble completely devastated and ruined it for me. Everything about it. I know why they did it. I understand outside the ring, and I understand in kayfabe why they did it. But it was terrible. I absolutely hated it. The second half of the match, and I'll get into why in a sec, was really good. But I wanted that throughout. I would have preferred all of that throughout. And I think it would have built the story of Drew McIntyre winning the whole thing even better. Like, he was great, and I'm glad he won, but the fact of the matter is, and for anybody who hasn't seen it, here's what happened, because I'm going to ruin it for you because it was the worst. Brock comes out number 1. Elias comes out number 2. They go at it. He throws Elias out super quick. And then everybody after that for 14 entrants, he's thrown out pretty quickly. I mean, we're talking some big names. Rey Mysterio, Kofi Kingston, Big E, Keith Lee, and Braun Strowman. It was a nightmare. And I absolutely hated it. Every second of it. I'm tired of Brock. I'm tired of the whole storyline of Brock is just unstoppable. He is the champ, and he's just never there, so who cares? I just don't want it anymore. And it's just, I'm tired of it. Especially after we got a spectacle like we did tonight, where I get it. He can't wrestle for more than 10 minutes consecutively. He can't do it. He does not have the stamina to handle it. That's why he is a devastating force in the UFC. I love Brock in the UFC. Brock in the UFC is great. I want to see Brock knock people out all the time in the UFC. I wish he was. But when it comes to wrestling, he doesn't sell anything. He doesn't do anything. He's just the unstoppable force, and that's what they keep booking him as. And for 14 entrants to come in, and he basically threw everybody out within a minute. and then would just sit there and wait, sit there and wait, sit there and wait. When Stone Cold even was sitting there and wait when he, I think it was his first one, and he's checking his clock because we kept throwing people out. It was only like 4 or 5 that he did that with, but he was selling it and it looked good. Brock just doesn't care. And because he can't wrestle for more than 10 minutes, he can't be in that ring without being tired. They got to do this. And it was a nightmare. And it was the worst Rumble I've ever seen. I'm sorry, you ruined it for me. I can't trust it with that type of booking. So I was truly devastated in that sense. But then we got Drew McIntyre coming in. And Drew McIntyre eliminated Brock, and I thought that was great. And of course, they're setting up for Drew versus Brock. And I hope Brock gets beat in WrestleMania and Drew gets the title because it's Drew's time, and I'm all for it. But I'm definitely tired of... And we had Edge come in, and we had a bunch of people come in, and it was a lot of fun. It was great, but nothing took away... Drew winning was a happy point, but nothing took away from how terrible that Rumble started. And I can't get that out of my brain. So, unfortunately, I have to give the Royal Rumble this year maybe a C, because there were some really good matches, but they were few and far between, and one of the best matches was on the pre-show, and I don't know. I just was not into it. They killed it with the Brock thing. I'm tired of Charlotte and Becky. I don't want that. I would have taken Ronda back. But, I guess she's busy. But so do Shayna or do somebody new. But whatever. They're not going to. It's the same old, same old. WrestleMania is just going to be boring again. That's just kind of where I'm at. Hopefully my mind changes in the next few months with any changes that they make. But that's 20 Minute Wrestling Podcast. Kind of a downer this weekend. I was just not happy with the turnout of Royal Rumble. So, sorry guys. If you liked it, please comment, message me. I'd love to talk about this stuff. And, I do love the fact that Drew won. But I want to hear more about it. I want to hear more from everybody else. So, definitely hit me up. If you are on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you are on SoundCloud, like and subscribe. That would be fantastic. We need followers, and we love having you guys, and I love hearing from you guys. So we've got a pretty positive response on a lot of our shows. Go to thescenesnobs.com. That's where all our shows are. That's where all the links to all the things are. And check them out and let me know. We got movie reviews, everything else. We have a lot more coming up, so I can't wait to see what you guys think. With that, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at The Scene Snob. I respond there often, so look forward to hearing from you. Go to Facebook. I am at The Scene Snob, or The Scene Snob page right there. Looking forward to hearing from you again there. So thank you for listening, and I will see you guys next week. Take care.